Okay, good evening. We're going to get started. My name is Fred Litwin. I'm the president of the Free Thinking Film Society, and I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. We're going to have a very, very interesting event. For those of you who are new, I started the Free Thinking Film Society in 2007, largely because of Michael Moore. I owe all of this to Michael Moore. Back then in 2006, his film Fahrenheit 9/11 was playing everywhere. And I thought it was a travesty. It was a film that was incredibly, not only inaccurate, but it was a horrible piece of propaganda that needed to be countered. And I found a small filmmaker in the States who had made a film called Michael Moore Hates America. And I wanted to see this film. It was not on DVD, you couldn't buy it. And so I emailed the Bytown Cinema here in town, our repertory cinema, suggesting the film, and they replied that they would not show this film. It didn't meet their requirements. So I got some friends together, and we decided, let's rent a theater and do our own films. And so I called around, and I got the Rainbow Cinema in the St. Laurent Shopping Center. You could rent that for $400. And so I rented the cinema. I went down to meet the manager. I paid half up front. But by the time I rented it, the film I wanted to show was Obsession, a film about radical Islam. And so that was the film, and around 2 weeks before the film was going to show, she called me up on the phone and asked me if the film had gone through the Ontario Classification Board. I said, I don't know. She said, well, we can't show it unless it's gone through the board. So I called up the board in Toronto, and they said, well, don't worry, because it's a documentary, and documentaries are exempt from classification. So I called her back up, and she said, well, it doesn't matter because we're canceling your film anyways. Some would be a retired professor at Carleton has sent us an email to head office complaining that your film maligns Muslims, and so the head office decided to cancel the film. So I scrambled, and I had to go to the public library at a much greater expense, but I managed to get the Ottawa Sun to write a small little article about what had happened. And that article caused me to get 165 plus people out to see the film when it was rescheduled. And I owed that professor at Carleton, a retired professor, I really owe her a box of chocolates. So since that time, we've had 4 film festivals. We show monthly events. We've shown over 100 films. We've brought in authors, panel discussions, you name it. Our claim to fame is when we tried to show the film Uranium, about the Iranian the request for nuclear weapons, and the Iranian government convinced the Library and Archives, the people here, to cancel the film because they didn't like it. And I got the government involved, and then the next night there were threats against the film, and we got the RCMP closed down the building, and that was my 15 minutes of fame. And again, I really wanted to send a box of Israeli wine to the Iranian embassy to thank them for what they had done. Okay, no, I didn't, but it was a great opportunity. And before we get started, I sort of feel like Ed Sullivan, who used to introduce famous people in the audience. So we have a few famous people in the audience here. If you live in Ottawa, you know that there's somebody here who works for human rights, democracy, and freedom every day of the year. David Kilgour is a man who is out for every important cause, whether it's the Tibetans, the Falun Gong, you name it. David Kilgour is every event. He hosts events, he's at events, he speaks at events. He is tireless in his defense of freedom and democracy. David, would you stand? My friend Ludwig Klimkowski is here, and Ludwig is the chairman of an organization called Tribute to Liberty. You may have heard that they're actually building a monument to the victims of communism here in Ottawa. It's a very, very important thing for us to do, and if you have any spare change, see Ludwig after the show, and he needs donations. We need to get this monument built. It's very important. So Ludwig, could you stand? So we're happy to take your donations after the show. We're fortunate at this festival to have some of Canada's finest journalists here. So my friend Terry Glavin is here from Victoria, an Ottawa Citizen columnist, a man who is tireless in his pursuit of the truth, wherever it takes him. It's really, reading his columns is a breath of fresh air in this politically correct environment, the media, that we've seen in the media. So my friend Terry, is Terry here? And of course, we also have one of Canada's finest columnists. If you were here on Friday night, we had an evening with Barbara Kay. We were blessed to have Barbara Kay here, who, an amazing columnist for the National Post, brings up topics that nobody else dares talk about. So please welcome Barbara Kay. We've got a filmmaker here. If you were here at 5:30, we have a filmmaker who makes, a comedian from Montreal, who makes films poking fun at the Quebec language laws. Rodney Ramsey is here. Rodney, stand up. And I have another friend from Montreal who's here who also puts on events in Montreal. Please welcome Valerie Price. Now, I want to announce, when I was promoting this event, I reached out to everybody I knew in the IT security field in Ottawa. And I got back a nice email from Mr. Tom Levasseur from Algonquin, who basically teaches courses in IT security. And every year he's got a contest where he has a bunch of students and they try to hack into our Department of Foreign Affairs. And actually, it's so easy that they actually have to find other targets. But he has this contest, and these students have to try to penetrate certain targets. And as a prize, he actually said the winners of the contest could come tonight to see this event. So the winners were, there were 4 students at Algonquin's School of Advanced Technology. Andrew Smith, Bruce Waddell, Devin Rule, and Lauren Irvine. If you're here, please stand up. You are the winners. These are our hackers of the future. Congratulations. If they're not, well, they're busy hacking into something a little more secure than defense. Before we show the film, a reminder that tonight the clocks go back, so don't show up here tomorrow at noon for the 11 o'clock show or 10 o'clock for the 11 o'clock show. We've got an incredible day tomorrow with films. I keep on telling people that this is the most depressing film festival in Canada, but tomorrow night we actually have an uplifting film about a coffee co-op in Uganda where Christians, Jews, and Muslims work together in peace and harmony. And we have the leader of the Ugandan Jewish community in town who's going to come here, talk about his experiences in Uganda. We have his coffee. We're going to serve his coffee. He's going to play some music because he has a Grammy-nominated album. And it's going to be a great closing night event. Now, let's get on to the topic tonight. You know, sometimes I really think that Canada is a bit of a frivolous country. I mean, I was joking with my friend Terry this week that if we had a CNN Canada, you know, it would be, you know, all Duffy all day. That would be the tagline for weeks and weeks. And we joked about, you know, waiting for the next bombshell to hit us, or it would be all Rob Ford all day. You know, and it. You know, there are some major issues that we have to address. There's some important stuff out there, and yet we seem obsessed about stuff that's really, when you really look at it, is trivial. I'm not saying there's not some issues, but we have far more important things to discuss, one of which tonight is trying to cyber spying, or it could be the crisis in Syria, but we don't. And we're fixated on stuff that really gets me a bit angry, and it's really, really unfortunate. So tonight, we're going to talk about China cyber spying. Please enjoy this film, Hacked. It's from the Australian Broadcasting Corporation. and then we'll have a panel discussion right afterwards, following a reception after that. So thank you very much for coming.